what interests me is, and we talked a little bit about just how your life has changed. Um, it seems to me that you're also in a different place in your personal, like, not just your business development, because that's clearly developed, but also how do you enjoy success? Because here's the other thing: we see the hustle and grind mentality. Even your shirt like has that little hustle under the humble there, right? Yeah, I
I'm a
call that
hustle.
nice graphic work as usual. Just making the message really interesting. But there are some people that are falling off that train because we see the people that are burning out. The people who
Yeah.
are like, man, I just do this 24/7 and I never turn it off. I'm number one. Like I always say, these are like coaching calls for me because I have trouble turning it off. I'll walk right over to that bedroom and take the laptop with me. My wife is like, you said you were leaving the office, but you brought the office with you. So like, yeah, see, so I appreciate your candor and we're being transparent on this podcast.
I'm
Tell me
very.
how are you now helping yourself and evolving to enjoy and actually sustain the success in your other areas of your life? Because this is all about God and gigs. It's all about the entire picture, right? Not just the business, which we want to see people grow and become
Yeah.
great creators, but you also want to enjoy it once you get it.
Exactly.
So how's that working for you, or what are you doing to make sure that happens?
Well, it's funny that you talked about, and I'll get into like the health stuff that I've been kind of journeying on lately. But it's funny that you talked about the separation of work and state, the state of which you're
State of the
supposed to
family,
be
yeah.
after you get off work in
Mm-hmm.
that state. But no, me and my wife is that is the source of every argument. I mean, if I'm telling you, our marriage is perfect outside of this one thing, and it's the fact that I am an absolute workaholic. And so I don't know how to turn it off. But again, going back to feeling stuck, those are the things that get me stuck in life, of trying to figure out how to turn that
Switch
thing
off.
off. And so
Mm-hmm.
here's an interesting piece. I think I may have shared this in the previous podcast. I can't remember, but my name, some people just know me as John Mike. And Michael is actually my middle name. My actual name is John Williams. So
No, this is
that's my
news. No, I love this news flash. Everybody,
here's a
no,
news
you did
flash
not
for
share
those who
this.
don't
I
know.
had not heard this.
My actual name is John Williams, and this will probably pop up somewhere down the line. Somebody will grab this as a sound bite. But Michael is my middle name. So yeah, it's John Mike is where that was is always a nickname. And I say it so much, and people say it so much that it's literally become like what I answer to. And I have to remember what my actual government name is when when I have to put it on a check or tell them who to
Yeah.
check out to or whatever. And so um uh why that's how that's relevant is that me and the wife was talking about this just the other day. Is like, she said, when you come upstairs, I don't want John Mike, I want John Williams.
Wow.
And so I have to learn how to turn that off. That's the space, the real transparent, candid space that I'm in, is figuring out the separation of the two, because those are two different people. John
Mm.
Mike is the businessman. He's the YouTuber. He's the creative entrepreneur. He's media for musicians. He's gospel multi-tracks. He's gospelproducers.com. He's this, he's that. But then there's John Williams, who is the father, who is the husband, you know what I mean? The provider of the house, the priest of my house, the all of those things. I'm the normal person. So the biggest thing that I'm in right now, the mode I'm in, is learning how to be John Williams. That's the
Man.
biggest place that I'm in, is trying to learn how to do that, because I have this persona that I put on for every other thing that I do, and sometimes I don't take it off for the people that actually really really matter, which is the people that know me as John Williams,
Uh,
and the people that are in this house. And so that is the place that I'm in with that, is balancing out um that life thing, the regular life thing. And then I turned 40 this past year, back in
See, I
December, like
knew. I
a
see.
month ago.
That's why I said, young man, man. Look, I've only got 8 years on you, and it still feels like that was an eternity ago.
Gosh. So I kissed 30 goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30, look, 30's the new 40, 50's the new, look, I'm just gonna buy into all of them. You
Just
tell
buying all
what,
of it.
yes, because age ain't another but number, whatever.
It
Like
is.
just, but no, but to go on what you're saying, because yeah, that milestone to me again says, hey, were you supposed to be successful by a certain age or whatever? Like, who cares? What does that mean to you? Like to reach that age and say, hey, now my perspective is changing. I've built something, but I'll say this real quick, just because
Oh,
it's
you good?
immediately popped in my head. This is where we converse. We just have these flashes of inspiration. I heard somebody talking about even in terms of your progress as a man and in your 20s,
Mm,
how you try to build something. I can't do it exactly. I'll have to put a post and see if I can link to it. But in your 20s, you're trying to build something. In 30s, you're trying to find what that thing is all about. In 40s, it becomes your legacy. In
mm,
50s, it becomes sharing that legacy with the next generation. That's 60, and so
mm.
every generation, or sorry, every decade breaks down into that thing. And I'm feeling it coming up on my 50s.
Yeah.
I'm that same thing. Whatever it is for you, I know that there's a shift coming, whether I like it or not.
Whether you like
That
it or not.
that I need to like be more aware of this thing that I'm building, even in my family with my kids growing up and moving out at this stage, is like, who is this guy and what is he going to do? Because the identity that I set up for myself is not going to sustain itself through the next
It's not.
decades of my life. Yeah, and I'm sure it's the same for you in some of the, in another form of capacity unique to you. I'm pretty sure you're feeling something like that in the same way in your life.
Definitely, man. I'm trying to figure it out. Like I had a health scare last year. This is one of the things that put things in um very I mean put things front and center for me was I got diagnosed with diabetes.
Mm.
But how I figured out that that was going what was going on with my body was um I woke up I've been feeling crazy for like 2 or 3 weeks before this incident, but I had just been feeling off. And you write it off, especially us as men, we write these things off as, "Oh, I'm working too much, I'm tired. Okay, let me get through this last project and then I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna do this. We'll go somewhere or do something. And let me just finish this or let me do this. Or next week I'll take a break or whatever. Everything that doesn't involve going to the doctor. we'll do
Exactly.
everything
Everything
other
but
than
the thing that actually would help.
the thing that would actually help. And so I had all of these things going on, man, dizziness, lightheadedness, the biggest key, especially this is for somebody that might help somebody if when it comes indication of diabetes that your blood sugar is kind of way out of whack and out of control, is that I was urinating like 25-30 times a day.
Oh.
I didn't know what was going on. I thought like maybe I had a urinary tract infection or something like that was going on. I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't know. I didn't think diabetes. I didn't think that. And so leading up to that event, so what happened was I woke up one night in the middle of the night, which was a custom, and it should not be a custom that I know
Mm.
now. That's another sign, an indication that you might be dealing with high blood sugar and stuff. Is that if you're waking up in the middle of the night 2 or 3 times and urinating and things like that, then that's a key indicator that something's off. You should be sleeping solid 7-8 hours a night, 6 to 8 hours a night if you can. And so I got up in the middle of the night about 2 o'clock and went to use the restroom, came out the bathroom, and it was like something slapped me like out of nowhere. It's almost like somebody punched me in the face. Like I don't know what happened. And it's like the whole room started spinning. The I mean, like this is the craziest part. Hot flash on top of chills at the same time. Like I'm talking my entire body started sweating, like sweat started pouring out of everywhere in my body on top of like chattering teeth, my teeth chattering because I was cold. So that's the craziest way to explain it.
Unbelievable.
Hot, sweating, and cold at the same time. Never experienced anything like that in my life. Hope to never experience anything like that ever again. But this went on for about 5 minutes. Scariest thing of my life. up to this point. And so, and then all of the strength fell out of my body. That was the biggest part of it. Like it felt like I had 20-pound weights on my legs. I was just trying to make it back to out of the bathroom back to the bed. That's what I was just trying to do. I mean, we have this couch that sits in front of our bed. I made it to the couch and I was able to sit there and kind of rock and kind of try to get myself back together. Only to, it balanced out after about 5 minutes, and everything went back to like, okay, I think I'm good. But I did not go back to sleep that night. I stayed up most of the night just researching everything I could research, but I didn't go back to sleep. And woke up the next morning, or got up the next morning rather. The wife, she slept through all of this.
Oh
And she had
Lord.
no idea anything happened. And she was just like, "Why are you on the couch?" And I was like, "Oh," and I told her everything that happened, and she was like, "You need to go to the doctor or something. You can go to the hospital or something. Are you all right now?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Yeah, you should just run up to the emergency walk-in clinic up the street or whatever." And she had to take my son to work, so she couldn't go. It was like one of those things. She said, "But you should go right now. And I'll come up there afterwards or whatever after I do that and run the errand." So I go up there to do that, and um, I have, as soon as I get there, the doctor, they take my blood, they do the urine, they do all of this stuff like that. And they came in and they said, "Man," they said, "your sugar is 300." And you said your blood pressure is like 150 over
Oh geez.
something. The high number was high and the
Yes,
low number
yes,
was
yeah,
low.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It wasn't good. Everything was high. You like, and they said, "You drove yourself up here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were just like, "Yeah, you need to go straight to the emergency room." And they checked my urine too. I had like 1,000 milliliters of sugar in my urine. It was just
Gosh.
crazy. Everything was all whack. And so I'm getting myself together out of there to go back to try to go to the hospital, take myself to the hospital and tell my wife to do that. And I walk out the doctor's room, and then the whole episode happens again. The room starts spinning, the hot flashes, everything starts happening again, and I almost pass out there in the doctor's office. And so they're able to kind of get me straight, and then we call my wife, and they just said, "Just take them straight to the hospital." My wife was literally 5 minutes up the road, so she
Thank God.
comes back up there, picks me up, we go to the hospital, and then, like I said, that's where we go through all of the stuff with, yeah, you got diabetes, blase, blase. So that thing, and I'm kind of fast forwarding through it to get to make the point of what it also drives me into where I am right now. But that changed my perspective instantly. And a friend of mine said this, pastor friend of mine lives down in Mississippi. His name is Darren Leach.
Mm.
And I was talking with Darren like maybe a couple of weeks after that incident, and he said this to me. He said, people, he said, people change. He said, one of the things that make people change is what they call a significant emotional event causes people to change. And
Yeah.
he said, if you break that acronym down, it's the word C.
Mm.
And so if they have a significant emotional event, then they begin to see things differently.
Differently. Yep.
And so I had that significant emotional event with everything that went on, with that, and how I re, turned that whole thing around was I instantly changed my entire diet. Like I went away from sugar completely. I eat less than 50 carbs a day. It's somewhat like the keto diet, but
Okay.
I'm not as stringent on it as keto is. I started out keto, but then that felt a little too extreme for me, and so I kind of
Find
landed
balance.
somewhere in the middle, and
Yeah.
it's just really kind of a low carb diet, and on coupled with exercise. So now you talked about how you did a 3K
Yep.
this morning. I don't run. I run every now and again, but mostly I walk. But I walk 3K. I do a 3K, a 5K. Sorry, not a 3K, a 5K. I walk 3 miles a day. because 5K is 3 miles.
Yep, just about.
So
Yep.
I walk 3 miles a day. So I walk a 5K every day in my neighborhood. I kind of like a track path that I do. Takes me about an hour. But doing that within 3 months of changing my diet, starting that exercise routine, just changing my mentality around it, my diabetes went away. Because when they checked my A1C after that event, my A1C was 12.1. So, and for those who don't understand A1C, the number stops at 14.
Oh my gosh. So you okay? There are things that you want to be at the top level of. These are
You
not
don't want to
things
be at the
you
top
don't want to be
level
in
of
the
that.
top 1% of
That's
any of
not
these
where you want to
numbers.
succeed at.
Not that way.
So yeah, and I know it can go much higher than that, but I think in terms of like their readers and their, like that's the cap. If
The
you
healthy,
above,
yeah, yeah. Well,
if
yeah.
you're above, actually, if you're above 7 or above 6, you're considered 6%. You're considered to be pre-diabetic.
Mm.
And if you get above 7, if your A1C is 7, then you are diabetic. A normal person's A1C or their blood sugar, and A1C, again, I know we got a varied audience of people that's listening. Some people know this stuff, some people don't, but it's good for you to know this
Yeah,
information,
no, it's important.
whether you're in that space of your life or not. It's still good for you to understand your A1C, understand these things. And a normal person's A1C is about 4.5 to 5.5. If you're in like 5.6 to like 6 point something in that area, you can look those numbers up online. Then you're pre-diabetic, and anything above that 6 point whatever is diabetic. And then if you're above that, it's just you're in a danger zone.
Mm, mm.
And so I was able to take in 3 months of changing my diet, exercising, and doing things differently, taking on a different mentality. I lost 40 pounds, and my A1C went from 12.1 to 5.5.
My goodness.
So I'm
Regular
back pretty
range.
much down in the normal levels
Yeah,
now,
that's
just from
unbelievable.
changing diet, exercise, change again, going back to that guy from 2019. What's the biggest thing? The biggest change is in mindset and in mentality and how I'm thinking about things. And we don't understand this, especially as I'll just keep it honest, African Americans,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
talk about these things. These things are relative to where we are in, and you talk about being successful and you talk about being wealthy, or you're talking about scaling a business. Well, I can't scale anything if I'm dead. I can't leave any legacy if I didn't get a chance to finish building it,
hmm,
because I couldn't control my diet, or I couldn't control my blood sugar, or I was overweight. You know what I mean? And so those are the biggest thing of the things you want to succeed at are that. Yes, it's good to get all of the money. Yes, it's good to make, build all of the businesses and build all of those things. But if it's cut short, it's, the thing that you fail at and you don't succeed at is your health, then it all falls apart at the end. If you don't succeed in those age numbers, like if you don't succeed past 40,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't succeed past
Hmm.
50, or if you don't succeed past 70, or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's so many things in that. So I encourage you as a creative, if you're listening, to get acquainted with what your blood sugar is, what your A1C is. Understand those things, because I felt fine, as people would say. You know,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought I was doing all right. I knew I was a
Diagnosing
little weight.
ourselves and just saying, okay, like you said, kind of pass it off
Yeah,
and making other excuses versus like you don't want to run into the C event, right? Like that's the thing. Like unfortunately, I think it does take that.
a lot of people it does.
For a
Yeah,
lot of it does, but if you can learn from example versus learn from experience, right?
exactly.
Like you went through the experience and we're learning hopefully. And that's why I'm so glad you went there. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for sharing it directly because it is too easy for us to just gloss it over, right? And we're recording this at the beginning of the year. So many people making New Year's resolutions and so on, and most of them will be something to the platitude of getting healthy.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
but your actions will speak louder than your words. And if you're acting more in terms of, hey, I'm just going to say I'm going to do it versus actually go out there and walk the mile, the 3 miles a day, and see the results you're seeing. Where now you again, let's kind of go back to the original question. You get to enjoy your family, you get to enjoy their health, and enjoy building the business at a
Yeah.
higher level. I had this one interview. I always recommend this one interview. It's one of our best ones. LaShonda Brown, we had back, I think, 209.
Mm,
She talks about the same thing, how she had a health scare and was unable to show up for the people. And the thing she prayed for, the platform
wow.
she prayed for, basically what you just said, same thing. You pray for this platform. You work hard. You do the lessons. You do the coaching, all the things, and then you can't show up for the very people that have been counting on you because you didn't take
Exactly.
care of your health or whatever. And these little things. I think the Bible talks about, don't despise small beginnings. I
Mm,
think those small beginnings, and you said it, it's not just the first dollar, it's the first walk, it's the changing your diet, it's the just putting on your shoes, the Atomic Habits. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but that
heard
Atomic
about
Habits is exactly that idea. The smallest change is still, you can't improve upon a habit until this is established. You have to
that.
establish it. So all these things are, again, they may seem like it doesn't have anything to do with creative life. Actually, it has everything to do
It
with
has
it,
everything to do
because you
with it.
can't show up and create if you don't have that, like you said, the health and the mentality and all that really together, brother. I thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to make sure we pivot to this one part as
Sure.
well, because you're talking about your health, because you're talking about this holistic lifestyle. I want to ask you kind of, where do you, because you started to mention it about where you see this going,
Mm,
right? So I think a lot of us, again, we get stuck and we say, okay, well, I don't know how to get to this next point, whatever. But are there some things that you have set up as, whether they're short-term goals, long-term goals, or just your vision,
yeah.
that you do see? Because some people pick their year for 2023, oh, it's going to be this or whatever. But I feel like now that you're at this place, that you definitely are looking ahead. And you started to say it earlier about scaling your business. So what are you seeing ahead of you? What is the thing that, like, you kind of, that gets you up in the morning, like, all right, now we're aiming for this?
Yeah. That's really good. I right now it's all about content and scaling that out as much as I can now. In the short term, right now, I actually hired two people last week for this very thing, is because I've been able to get, because part of scale is learning where your limitation is.
Mm,
You can only scale past your ability. You know what I mean? Like, you know, where your limitations are. You can only scale past that. Once you hit the ceiling, like there's a ceiling there. So the only way to get past it is I have to raise the ceiling. And so I was able to get from 0 to 1 by myself.
yep.
But if I'm trying to get to 5, I can't even get to 1 to 2 by myself. And so it's forced me to have to hire people to help me get to the thing, to take stuff off of my plate so that I can focus on the bigger picture of things that I'm doing. So I hired a couple of people to help me with creating and editing content. So because I'm doing a lot of video stuff, I'm recording video right now as well as
Yeah,
you.
yeah, man. I was looking at you right before we started this. I'm like, how is he getting all this done in 24 hours? And like you said, now you have the balance,
Yep.
like now you are exercising, you do have the energy, and now you're getting the team together and it
Putting the
all
team
works
together
together.
and building that out so I can do so. And it comes back to the point of me being John Williams. Like,
Mm.
in order for me to be John Williams, I have to get people to help me with being John Mike.
That's so
You know what I'm
good.
saying?
That's
So
so good.
so I had to get people in that can help me with scaling and doing the things that was keeping me down here in the studio till, 11 o'clock at night, getting up at 6 a.m. and being in the studio from 6 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night, recording, editing, shooting, posting, scheduling, doing this, doing that, working on this product, working on that, mixing the song, mixing the record, producing the song, doing that. Like I needed to bring in people that can help me with that. And so now I'm able to start commit. Like I came upstairs This was so funny. This was 2 nights ago. I think it was Tuesday night. I went upstairs. It was like 7 o'clock, and I was the wife came out the bathroom, and I was sitting on the couch, and she was just like, "What are you doing up here?" Like,
Surprise.
done. Like, I'm done. Like, and we had this thing. We had this thing in our house. This is just be a funny another funny point. We had this thing in our house where because we love Black Panther. We're Black Panther fans and stuff. The movie Black Panther, not the hate group.
Wait, oh God, the whole other, man, we're gonna get tagged now. So we're gonna
Right.
have a
The
whole
Black
nother conversation.
a whole other conversation. No, but we're the Black Panther fans of the movie, and so there's this scene in there with Mbaku, and he says, they're giving their it's towards the end of the movie where they're giving their grand plan of how they're gonna go in and win and stuff like that. He's in the background, the mother and the daughter and Chad, we can all remember talking, and he just interrupts in the middle, and he's just like, "Are you done? Are you done?" And so me and the wife do that around the house. It's like, she'll text me, are you done? Are you done? And so I was done at 7 o'clock, and she was just like, wow. She was like, I was like, I mean, this is what I'm hiring people for. But so I had to hire to scale. That's a big thing because I'm putting a big focus on content this year. I am very interested in all things content and scaling my business in that right, and trying to capitalize on every little space, every little moment. That's what Media for Musicians is about. It's another way to continue scaling what I'm doing. But here's a gem. Here's something that'll help somebody that nobody's thinking about, because some people will look at that and say, oh, okay, he's trying to come up with another way, another income source, another income stream to make more money, to do blase XYZ. It's just another money making scheme for him. And that's not exactly what it is. Actually, I started thinking about, this is in line with me hiring staff. I started this other thing to pay for that thing. So you see what I'm saying? So I got a nut. So bringing in, so if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to scale, think about, here's another way to think, because it's hard as an entrepreneur when you're the sole proprietor and you're the sole business owner, and you not only are you depending on this for building, to pay for the business, but you're also living off of this money.
Yep.
You're also using that to take care of your family. So every dollar matters different when you're not working a 9 to 5 for somebody. Every dollar, you look at that different that you're making. And so what I have to do is find systems and find ways to pay for the thing that I need to do. It's always been, there's a whole nother process I can dig into with that. But a lot of the things that I do are supplements to pay for the stuff that I need to do, that I want to do. Yeah. So I do one thing to do another. So I'm like, okay, this staff budget is costing me, $2,500 to $3,000 a month to hire staff. So what is something that I can create that will generate $2,500 to $3,000 a month to pay for staff? You see what I'm saying? And that staff, and I'm looking to hire 2 to 3 more people before the end of the year. So I'm like, what can I put in place in order to keep scaling, to keep income coming in over on this side that doesn't mess with the money that I need to live?
Yeah. So I love this guy. I saw this on Myron Golden's page.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Bond reposted it actually. And
Yeah.
he basically said that. He said, creatives, we don't create things and lose. Right. Mm-hmm. Basically, his whole point was, when I create something, like what you do right now is not taking from that other business. You literally make something.
Yeah.
And then if you need more income, you make something else, but it doesn't deplete from the last thing. It's not like well, I guess in business terms, it's not like your capital, you lose capital. Yeah. Your creative is capital. And it's like, you don't lose when you say, okay, hey, I need another product or another income stream to help this business stay afloat. For me, being straight up, we're talking to creators right now. Right now, it's the gigs. The gigs is what allows me to do this. But what I'm building here with Guiding Gigs in the community and 360 Yeah, it may not make money for the next, as you said, 4 or 5 years because I'm in that first stage.
Exactly.
But the infrastructure is here. And I was look, I'm just brought in my first VA and I thought I was something. Just
Yeah.
having somebody I could call and, like you said, come to bed and someone else is working on my behalf. And so for everybody that just said to your head, oh wait, but I can't hire, I can't hire two people like John Mike did. Look, I brought in somebody, whether it's Fiverr, Upwork,
Exactly.
I
That's what I
mean,
was.
just starting where you are, and the key that you just said, that investing in it so that each piece
Mhm.
supports the other, so that you can be John Williams, so that you can go upstairs at 7 o'clock and surprise your wife. As I was, same thing with my wife, and she'd be like, I can't believe I was sitting downstairs yesterday, and I said, honey, you want me to clean something? She's like, no, and stop bothering me because now you're so used to moving,
You're so used to moving
and now
that
you're
it's
just
like the
just
what do I do
chilling
with
is
my hands type thing.
exactly. It's like, give me
It's
a
like
job. I love
so
it. But
it makes a difference. So yeah, you have to start thinking outside of that. So that's the space I'm in the short term is building out my staff to scale for the next thing, to
yeah,
scale to the next space. You know what I mean? So it's a whole kind of journey of just scaling out this one piece of thing to bring more money over here so I can hire um two more people to put them in a place to do this.
mm,
And so I encourage every creative right now that's listening to start figuring out how you can start leaning into short form content. These are like your shorts, your reels, TikToks. I think even Pinterest is getting into the
Pinterest.
whole
Yep.
short form content game. Like that is where it is right now, is in the short form content. If you want to know how to really scale your following, scale your business, um, short form is the quickest and easiest way. These platforms are all focusing on that right now. And so that was the other reason why I brought in two editors, and then I got another guy that I'm actually auditioning right now for a possible third. But I need people that can be that, because I can sit down. So here's the hack that's even happening in real time. This is happening. I'm giving you a real time masterclass on this right now that you're listening. I'm recording this video right now that I'm doing with Alan for his podcast. Well, the guys that I have working for me now, after I get off, this file is going to go into Dropbox that we share with all of them. They're going to take this footage and they're going to scan across this footage and they're going to chop it up into 3 to 5 minute segments. They're going to
Mm,
chop it up into 30-second segments for reels, for TikTok. They're going to go find all of the PowerPoints where I said something that sounded very profound, and they're going to make it into something that I can use to keep scaling, to keep building the things that we're building. And then we can take the audio, strip it, and then we can edit it down into a podcast that we can post on our own podcast thing. So that it's figuring out. So in the short term, my short term goals right now is all centered around content. It's all centered around scale. It's all centered around trying to post 10 to 20 pieces of content per day on all of the platform. We're not, individual, like 10 Facebook posts, 10 this, 10
yeah,
that,
yeah. But pieces,
across
yeah.
all of the socials, across all of the platforms, being visible everywhere. Like I talked about earlier, the Steve Harvey effect.
Exactly.
It's legit the Steve Harvey effect is what I call it. It's being everywhere. It's like when they look up, when they go on Instagram, there I am. When they go on TikTok, there this dude is again. When they're on YouTube, there he is again. So it's figuring out that. So that's my short term right now. Is this next year is really, y'all gonna be seeing a whole lot and hearing a whole lot more of me on a ton of stuff. But from there, it's continuing to scale out. I'm researching a ton of stuff. I'm looking forward towards Web 3.0. These are
Hmm.
long term goals for me if we want to look at it. And I even tell you as a creative, like, you need to be investigating into what Web 3.0 is. And if
Dad, let me stop you because I'm going to put the link in the show notes for our episode. See, this is why I love talking to people like you, because it reminds me I'm on the right path. Because when I go and I get a Vince Warnock and talk about NFTs, and he breaks the whole thing down, and I'm thinking, and my podcast, this little podcast is already
out,
NFT ready for value for value. I'm
Wow.
thinking in myself, there's no one that even does this yet. But I don't want to get caught ahead of the curve or behind the curve like people got caught behind the curve with streaming. And every single time there's a new technology that's kind of ruminating out there, there's the early adopters and then there's the late bloomers, right? And I just been, you know what? I know people may not be supporting this particular podcast with Bitcoin and with Sats yet, but it's ready.
Yeah.
If y'all want to right now support me and John Mike and send some just click the link in the Fountain app or in the Castomatic app. It's there. I you know and you're helping. I think that's why we need to stay in this kind of community
Yeah.
with people who are thinking like you're thinking. So when you say that, you're like, oh, I'm not crazy.
No, you're not.
I
You're
should be
not.
thinking ahead.
That's where it's going. Web 3.0. And people don't I don't think people even realize and understand that we're in Web 2.0 right now. We're still in 2.0. Web 1.0 was like the text pages where it
Mm-hmm.
was just text on a page, hyperlinks. There was no pictures, there was no images, there was no media, there
Yep.
was no
Back
content on the internet. The internet was just
hypercard and all that stuff.
HyperCard, all that stuff. Then Web 2.0 came, and then the infrastructure was there for us to start putting videos and audios and podcasts and digital products, and all of these things have become a thing under Web 2.0. And that's where where we have this space at. But Web 3.0 is where the game really changes, the next inflection point. And my prediction, I might be right or wrong on it, but my prediction is we're right around 5 years away from that full inflection point where it
Mm-hmm.
becomes like, wow. And so Web 3.0 is the where a website address is going to be an actual address. Like it's going to be an actual place on the internet that you go to, not something that you type in an address bar, but it's going to be something it's going to be an actual physical location. I know this stuff sounds real
No,
crazy right now.
hey, just like you talked to somebody back in 1998 and you said you'll be able to type in anything on a little bar and it will give you the
Thought you
answer,
was
or
crazy.
talk to a speaker, they would have said you were crazy too. So no, man,
Thought you was crazy. But
this is
I'm telling you now, I'm seeing, and I'm gonna tell you what changed the absolute game for me. I was talking about this on our podcast yesterday. Was that over the Christmas holiday, I bought the Oculus VR headset.
mm,
This little thing that Facebook and Meta and stuff is doing right now. God dog it. Somebody would call me right now, right? Hold on one second.
let me pause.
Yeah. So yeah, over the Christmas holiday, I bought um the Oculus, the little thing that Facebook is into now, that the metaverse and all of this stuff that you've been hearing about or whatever.
Right.
I bought this the wife was like, this is like 2 weeks before Christmas. She was like, man, she said, why don't we was trying to think of the big gift to give the kids this year. We do a big gift we do individual gifts, and then we do like this real big gift for everybody. Last year, well, 2021, the big gift was a dog. We got a dog for everybody. Like we bought a little dog. His name is Milo. He's our new baby in the house now. Because he was literally a puppy. We bought him at like he was like maybe a week old, and
Mm,
so now he's a year old. And so anyway, it's not about Milo. Um, so this year or 2022, Christmas we bought the Oculus. So the wife was like, let's try this thing. Let's try a little VR thing. We thought, it's a little gimmick. We'll get this or whatever. So the wife she said, why don't you take the Oculus thing and go ahead and just take it out of the box and set it up, you know, so it's ready to go, because you have to connect. It's a whole process. It takes about maybe 20-30 minutes to set the thing up. So she was like, why don't you go ahead and set it up so that when they open it up on Christmas, they can go ahead and just start
right
playing it
away.
right
Yeah.
then. You don't have to wait on you to go in and set it up and all that stuff like that. They can take it out of the box, start playing it right then. I was like, all right, cool. I start the setup process on this thing. I put this crazy looking thing on my head, and I'm
Yeah.
going through the process of setting it up. And 10 minutes into the setup, after I kind of got through all of the initials and actually got into the thing, I took it off, put it back on, took it off, put it back on. Then I took it completely off and I went back to Best Buy and I bought 2 more of them
Whoa.
because I saw what all of the hype, or not even the hype, because it's not hype. I saw what it's about. I saw legit why Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook changed their name to Meta, and why they're putting billions upon billions upon billions of dollars into the metaverse. Because it is the future. Like, I put this thing on and I was in a different place.
Mm.
I you in those who are listening, if
I
you
know.
have
Like, well, number one, we're not. I wish we were sponsored by Meta right now,
I wish.
um, but I feel like there's two reactions, right? There's the reaction of, oh man, he's on to something, and then there's the other reaction like, oh, this is how the world ends.
Yeah,
We all.
yeah. It might be, but at the same time, that doesn't change the fact, and whether the world ends or not, that doesn't change the fact of whether you're going to be broke when the world ends, or you're
It's a
going to be
great point. Look, if you're all
if the
gonna go
world
out, we might as
ends.
well.
If the world ends, at least I have a whole lot of money while it's going down in flames.
Oh gosh,
Let's just make sure that we end up on the right
on
side
the
of
right side of
it.
it.
That's the biggest point on my side. Is like, okay, I want to make sure I'm on the right side of when it all falls apart. But it definitely is. It's Ready Player One. It's Iron Man type vibes. It's moving stuff with your hands. All it's going to take, and that's why I said I think we're like 4 to 5 years away from this, is as they shrink this technology down,
Yeah, yeah, that's what always
becomes
happens.
like legit a piece of just a
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
regular
like the
pair of glasses.
glasses or whatever, it becomes
That's
part of.
coming.
It becomes
That's coming
integrated in
eventually.
our. It's funny that it's funny that this all kind of cycles around. It's funny that all this once again comes down to this is integrated into our real life, right? The technology, all this stuff, the stuff we're doing right now, again, that we never dreamed of back when we first started our business, first started learning music. We were just learning to play piano. Now
Yep.
this is a Zoom pandemic. Everything eventually becomes a part of the actual life that we live day to day.
Yeah.
And so I feel like one of those things that, again, I feel like you always are on the cutting edge on is like saying, hey, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to learn the technology. And then I'm going to become a person that kind of leads people like the Sherpa, right? You're not necessarily at the top of the mountain, but you're walking up the mountain with them.
Mhm.
And you're saying, hey,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm going, here's the crevice. Here's how to get up this mountain without falling down on your face. And I'm going to lead the way because I've already been up this mountain like
Already been
600
up.
times.
I don't want us to get left behind as a creative community, because especially as you know, you're guiding gigs, so you talk a lot to the church audience,
Mm-hmm.
in our Christian faith, our faith based audience, and speak to that. And us in the faith based community, we are always easily 15 to 20 years behind the curve
Yeah,
on stuff.
yeah.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
wait, and then we say, "Oh, it can't reach the world," and the world's like, "Well, we just kept moving, and we
And
for some reason wait for like a sign from God to
yeah,
take these very things that you're talking about and say, "Hey, let's be there when the people get there." Jesus went to where the
I'm
people are.
telling you, this is a thing. Like, you want to know where this is where it's going. I
Okay,
promise you. Like, I put this thing on. I was sitting in this very chair right now. I had this thing on my head. This was right around Christmas, or it might have been Christmas Eve. And I was sitting with this thing on my head and I was going through, because you got the little hand remote and you're going through all of the stuff. And so there was a live concert from John Legend. And I'm exploring this thing. Let me see what this is about. I click on it. It sucks me into a concert, and I'm looking around, and John Legend it's like I'm there. I'm talking and it's got the
yeah,
speakers on the side.
it's
And
around, yeah.
so the audio is immersive, it's spatial. So if I moved, it's just like the Apple earbuds. Like, when you move, the sound moves along with you based on where it is in space. I was in a virtual concert with John Legend, watching it, sitting in the audience with my Oculus thing on. And I heard everything as if I was right there. How is this relative to me, John Mike? I'm going to tell you how it's relative to you. Imagine as this is going to give this idea right here is going to make somebody a bajillionaire,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have the time to flesh it out. I love you all, but I wish I did. I got other goals in mind. But somebody's going to pick up on it real quick. Meta church is going to be a thing. Like 360 video, 360 experiences is where it is. Conferences, being able to just, you're sitting in you're going to church literally with a VR, like especially once it shrinks down, you can literally just tap into it. Literally talk about tapping in. You can
Mm-hmm.
literally tap
You could
into a
get what you
church
call
service,
like plugged exactly.
literally
Goodness
tap
gracious.
in. And so Apple is investing. They're supposed to be, there's rumors that they might be releasing their first VR AR headset this year too. And once Apple gets into the game, it's a
Then
whole
everybody.
different
Mm-hmm.
ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to be looking at in Meta, Facebook is already ahead of the curve. So the next battle that we're going to be seeing is not going to be Apple and Samsung. It's going to be Apple and Meta. They're both fighting for real estate in the Web 3.0 space. Samsung and all these other companies are going to be, they're going to probably have their additions. They're probably going to be in the space, but the two big players are going to be Apple and Meta. Watch what I say. I can see it like it's clear as day. And so
I'm
what
sorry. So you can
what
see it Oculus. You can see it through.
you can, I can literally see it. I'm telling you. And so it's going to be whoever gets there first, and that's why Mark Zuckerberg is pouring every little literal dollar he has into the metaverse and trying to make it. It sucks now, like the actual like metaverse part of it.
But that
Sucks.
just like Web 2.0 used to be pictures that were loading over a
Oh yeah,
of a
but
broadband and
once it
yeah.
becomes photorealistic, once your avatar looks like this inside of the metaverse, or inside of the their virtual world, when you can
Mhm.
literally have a digital version of yourself.
Man, we gotta
And
have you back.
that's where it's going. So the people that are going to win are the people that are deciding now what side they're going to be on.
Step
and
ahead.
and that's where it's got to be. I'm talking like three, so my mind is already on, I'm studying up on 360 video. I'm learning about spatial audio. I'm learning about 360 audio, Dolby Atmos, things of that nature, because that's where the ball is going. It's not where it's close. We're close to where the ball is now, but it's that. So my those are my goals. I know those are like way far out type things that probably nobody would expect for me to think. They probably say,
No,
"Oh,
no. This is why. This is exactly like I said. This is exactly why these conversations need to happen so that we aren't the people left behind. So because these conversations are what open people's mind to the fact that this is not far away.
yeah,
That, like I said, I use my example for musicians is always the streaming. Like the record companies, we all should have seen it coming. Napster,
yeah,
LimeWire, that was all in our face. We were all kind of, oh, it's just viruses, and then it turns out that was going to be the future, and now everybody's trying to make money in this new space and complaining about that. When had you moved earlier, maybe we would have been in a better position. So I just see this as an example of the same thing.
it's an example.
Man, we could talk about this stuff. We could chop it up for years and years and years. But I gotta let you go and make sure that the listeners and the watchers have the way to find you. You just said you're going to be everywhere, but some people are old school. So just remind them of the properties and the places where you will be most likely to be found. Most again, where they can like click in right away. All the links are going to be in the show notes. Just remind them real quick where you would like them to find you.
Yeah. Easy. Well, I'm John Mike pretty much everywhere. You just, if you type in John Mike, you're on any platform, you're probably gonna see this ugly face in some way, form,
Ah, it's
fashion.
a very handsome face. Stop that.
Oh man, I appreciate it. But yeah, John Mike, there, YouTube is where I spend probably the majority of my energy at. Is via YouTube. My YouTube channels, John Mike, Media for Musicians,
Right.
that up, and gospelproducers.com. These are my main entities right now that are really getting the bulk of my attention. So yeah, you can find me in those spaces, gospel musicians, not gospel musicians, gospelproducers.com, mediaformusicians.com, and um yeah. YouTube.
I love the fact that like you trying to just remember which
Yeah,
place
I
to say
lose track
people's
of it
like
all.
you lose track of it all. So I'm glad that you're not the only one that is like trying to keep all the balls in the air.
Yeah.
But you are doing an amazing job of managing them. This was honestly like one of the most impactful interviews, even without me going back
Wow.
and editing it, because you don't hold back, because your spirit is always, like you said, of a teacher and someone that wants to share it. And you're living this life out in front of us. So thank you for inspiring me, my brother. Thank you for being who you are. John Williams, John, Mike, all still you got integrity in all those areas. You're the same man. So I appreciate you, brother. God bless you. And yeah, we got to talk some more. But until next time, man, thank you for being an encore guest on the Guide and Geek Show.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
My friend, thank you for watching this episode. If that blessed you, you got to make sure that you stay connected with this community and this channel so that you can get more where that came from. We're sharing great interviews, tactics, strategies, mindsets, lifestyle choices, everything that's going to help you become a totally confident creative. And don't miss an episode of the Guide and Gig Show. If you are staying connected to our channel, you'll be able to find us anytime we release new episodes. And you can check out some of our archives of almost 200 episodes now that we've shared over the last few years. Make sure you check out one of the suggestions right now, because it's probably perfect for you to continue to develop as a creator. And continue to stay connected with us, because we're here to help you become the creative that God created you to be. We'll see you in the next episode.